Okay, I want to get into a little bit of what's introduced in Chapter 2. And here on PowerPoint, I have this one slide. This is in the text in Chapter 2, and it is describing a common configuration for mainline logic. And this is where they show the use of modules. Modules have other names. Some people call them subroutines, but they are pieces of programming code that are unique and separated from the main tree, and you develop them separately, and then you assemble them into the main tree by calling them out. Okay, so somewhere in my flowchart diagram, and I'll show you this later, there's going to be a housekeeping module showing the code for it, the flowchart for it, and then over here I show where I'm calling it in, and it will do what it does as I described in the other section of the flow diagram. Alright, so one of the things you have to note here is that there's a new shape for a module. It's a rectangle with that line going across it up at the top. And also the name includes double parentheses after it. That indicates, in our text, in the language we're using, that indicates that it is a module. Alright, so in this one there are three modules, and this is typical for a lot of programs. There is a starting point, there are declarations of variables, and then a housekeeping module, which more or less gets it started, and then some kind of loop, which allows the data to keep coming in until a certain condition is met, and then drop out and go to the final module, finish up, and then stop. Okay, so that is what this is called. This is a loop. So what it is basically doing is setting a condition. The condition is not the end of file. The question is this not the end of file? Because if it's not the end of the file, the answer is yes, it's not. Then we do the detail loop. We do some manipulations, and then we return. We ask the question again, and when the question is yes, it is the detail, it is the end of file, then we'll drop down and do the end of job. One of the things I want to point out is this is called, in pseudocode that our text uses, this is called a while loop. Okay, so look over here in the pseudocode. While it's not the end of file, you go to detail. While not end of file, detail. End while. What that means is you end the while when the condition of not EOF is no longer valid. You drop down and go to the finish end of job and then finish your job. Okay, so I wanted you to note that when you have a loop like this, figuratively, then over here in the language you call it a while loop, while a certain condition, and then end while. Okay, so now let's draw this, because we're going to have to find that shape right there. It's not as easy as it might seem. Okay, so we're going to draw this on Visio, and I've already got the file set, so I'm going to go start, you know what I'm going to do? I go to View first. You always go there, decide whether you want Auto Connect on or off. I see that it's on, that's cool, I'll take it. And I start with that file. I'm going to do my declarations next. That's a rectangle. And then from that rectangle, I'm going to have to create that housekeeping module. Okay, so I need that figure. Alright. It doesn't show up in the basic shapes, but if I go to flowcharts and go down to this one here, SDL, it shows up there, SDL. Okay, so now I have SDL over here, and there it is. Now, when I originally opened up SDL, that module box was way down here somewhere. I left-clicked it and pulled it up there. Putting it there makes it available to me in Auto Connect, so I can go like this, and there it is right there in Auto Connect. Now from here I go to a decision tree. I have to go back to basic flowchart shapes, which is here, the triangle I'm going to pull in now, right there. And then from here I'm going to have a module over here, I'm going to have another module over there. So I have to go back to this, and I'll stick a module over here. I'll put one down here, and then back to the basic shapes again for the last one, which is the stop right there. Okay, there they are. They're all connected with lines. I wanted arrows, but I got lines, and that's okay. I'm not upset about that. I will click on that with the left clicker, and then right click while it's lighted up, and then go to line and go to ending arrow. I want the arrow to end. Bingo. And I've got that. Now the arrow is there. I can now click on that again and go to Home and Format Painter, click twice, left click twice, and then I can change these. Alright, so those are all arrows now. Now I still have a problem, and that is I've got to double click here, but one click here to get back to pointer. Now I'm back to pointer. I need to draw that in a loop arrow. Okay, so what I do is I go back to Home. I'm there, and I'm there, and I find the connector tool. Click on that. Now I've changed from a pointer tool to a connector tool, and I click this like this, and I get a loop. Okay. Now the one thing I need to do is go back to Home and change that back to a pointer. Now I'm back to a pointer tool. I got a little extra something there. Let me delete that. Alright, I should have done all these first, and then I wouldn't have to do this Format Painter again to make that an arrow. There it is. Okay, back to here, Format tool, one click, and I'm back to a pointer. Good, I'm good to go. So I've got the thing all done there. I got the arrows and all that in. So what I do now is I type in all of the labels and all that, and to save time I've already done that. Okay, so I need to go up here, and I still don't have the pointer tool. I do now. Okay, let me go back. Now I got to fill in all that stuff, but to save time I filled in all but one box. Okay, they're all filled in there, and the reason I didn't fill in this box is this is the declarations box, and I wanted to show you. When I double click, I get a center spot for the text to begin. It's all going to be centered. Well, I don't want that. When I'm doing declarations, it's going to be a rather long, lengthy list, and I want to be able to make it look like Word in that rectangle. So what I do is I right click and go to Paragraph, and I move this from being centered to being on the left, and then I have to do the text block as well. I move it to the top, and I say OK, and now I've moved that cursor up there at the left hand top. Now it's more like Word. Okay, so I can type in declaration, and then under that would be a bunch of text. Okay, and I'm not going to type all that in right now and take up all your time. If that text doesn't fit that box, I can highlight it. A couple things I could do. I could highlight it, and I could change the font. Right now it's set at 8. That's pretty small, so I'm not sure. I can make it 6 if I want to get it in there. That's not a problem, because when I'm looking at people's work, I'm going to be magnifying it anyway. So to make it fit, I can do that, or I can make the rectangle bigger. If I select on this, I can draw this out like that, make it bigger, and the text will fit. Okay, now I got to redo my chart if I run into that situation, so just keep that in mind. But anyway, that's how I create that. Okay, I create it, and it looks like that, and then we know how to write it. We use the end while to describe the loop. Okay, one more thing I want to show you real quick is here's how it might look. Now this is out of chapter 5 or 6, I think, but this is a little bit more of a demonstration showing you here's declarations. Look how big the rectangle is there, so that had to be resized. Okay, and then it comes down to a get ready module. Okay, over here is the get ready module over here. So they're showing you what happens in get ready. Okay, here's a loop. The question is, does the information equal quit? If it does not equal quit, then I keep going. Yes, it's not quit, so I keep going into the detail loop. There is the detail loop right there. There's count dependence right there separately. So I'm showing all the action here. Showing all the action. The last thing I do is finish up. Well, there's the finish up module right there, and there's a big old loop and finish up module too. Alright, so that's how it's all done. Okay, the one I showed you earlier, we didn't have the breakouts, but here are the breakouts showing what's going on in each module. So if you have any questions on this, you can come to the forum, or you can send me an email. I'll be happy to work with you on it. Okay, thank you very much.